Hi everyone! For today's STEAM workshop, we're making oobleck. To understand what makes oobleck so unique, we're going to have to understand the properties of matter. Let's investigate. Everything in the world is made up of matter, and matter falls into three properties: liquid, solid, and gas. Let's look at each property and how it functions. Our first property is a solid. Solids have a definite size and shape. Let me show you what I mean. This jar is a solid. When I try to put it in the bowl, nothing happens. It doesn't change its size or shape. It stays just as it is. Our second property is liquid. Liquid has a definite size, but not a definite shape. Watch as I pour water into the bowl. You see how the water changes its shape from inside the bottle to now inside the bowl? And as I move it around, it adapts. And last but not least, our final property is gas. Gas has no definite size or definite shape. Gas is the air we breathe, or even the smoke. As you can see, when I try to hold the smoke over the bowl, it doesn't fit into the bowl, it doesn't try to conform to its shape, it doesn't change, it's free moving. What makes oobleck so special is that it's not just one property, it's both a solid and a liquid, also known as a non-Newtonian substance. A non-Newtonian substance can change from one property to another when force is used. A great example of this is if you shake a ketchup bottle, it becomes more runny and loose, making it easier to come out of the bottle. So let's begin experimenting with oobleck. You're going to need the following materials: a bowl, a measuring cup, food coloring, ink, or liquid paint, whatever you have, cornstarch, a half a cup of water, and chopsticks or a spoon to help you stir. Stop right there! This is a warning. Oobleck can be very messy. Do this in your kitchen or your bathroom and make sure to wear clothes that you're not afraid to get a little messy. Let's get started. So I'm going to grab my cornstarch, my bowl, my measuring cup, and my measuring cup is at a perfect half cup, by the way. See? And my cup of water. Now this is actually measured at a half a cup, so I have it pre-measured out ahead of time. So we're going to take a half a cup of the cornstarch. Don't be afraid if a little goes over, we'll clean it up. Now when you're making oobleck, you're going to start out with equal parts water and cornstarch, but as you go, when you're stirring, you'll see that it might be a little bit too loose, so you'll add a little bit of more cornstarch. That's fine. You don't want to have to take away any because that's much harder. Before I put in my water, I actually want to put in my liquid food coloring or my ink or paint beforehand because that actually will make sure that everything is totally saturated. Nice. You can see the color. It all kind of mixes together once the water hits the surface. Now with my chopsticks, I'm going to start stirring this all together so everything's combined. Now as I'm stirring this, I could tell that this is actually much too liquidy. Even when I go along the surface and get all the little bits of cornstarch, I can tell I'm going to actually need to add a little bit more. Being very careful now, I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of cornstarch at a time and then stir as I go so that I get the right consistency. Now that I added more cornstarch, as I'm starting to feel a lot of resistance. This means that I have just enough amount of each. As I stir, I could tell some of it's getting very stiff and more solid-like. As I mentioned earlier, a non-Newtonian substance changes from liquid to solid when force is used. So right now, the force I'm using is actually making the oobleck very stiff. But if I stick my hand inside, it's going to actually be very liquidy, and it's going to just seep through my fingers. But if I hit it, it's very hard. It'll stick to me because it's a very sticky substance, but for the most part, it'll just get very solid. Do some experiments and see what happens. The more you play with it, does it get more liquidy? Does it get more solid? Yeah, the more you poke at it, you'll see that it gets very stiff and it's very hard, almost like a rubber. Have you ever experimented with oobleck before? What are other substances that you think are non-Newtonian substances? Have you ever seen anybody use oobleck in a science experiment or in school? Let us know. Answer these questions and give us some of your own questions. We'd love to see your experiments and all the projects you do with oobleck. Thanks so much. See you next time. Bye.